Welcome, guys, to our 6th office hours presentation. Last time we talked about vision. Today we're going to talk about goals, and then in the next one we're going to talk about action. Some things that I have found that's helpful as you're taking action. So we want to be short, concise, and a lot of this stuff, I think, for those who are driven individuals or who focused on goals in the past, this is going to be kind of a review. But it'll all come together when we talk about vision, goals, and actions. Hopefully, you'll see some patterns there and some things that are helpful for you as you're setting yourself up for success. Whether it's we're towards the end of the year in 2024, whether it's success in 2025 or beyond. So vision to victory. 2025 investing blueprint. And this investment is not necessarily investing in dollars. This is investing in you, because goal setting and setting those priorities and taking action on those goals is really about investing in you, not necessarily just investing in the market. So why are goals important? As it relates to investment, it's been said that an investor without investment objectives is like a traveler without a destination, right? So sometimes in the investment world, we talk about what's your investment thesis? What's the purpose of this investment? What's the goal of this investment? What is the timeline in which this investment is supposed to pay off, or what is it supposed to provide to you? Because most people don't invest for investment's sake, right? They invest for some future goal, right? And hopefully that goal is tied to a vision and it has an objective. Okay, so those of you who've set goals before, this is not something that I've come up with. Obviously, SMART goals have been around for a long time, right? So S.M.A.R.T, what exactly does SMART goals stand for? Number one, goals need to be specific. And the more specific, the better, right? The bigger the why, the more you can drill down on why that goal, right? So, for example, why do you want to retire at age 60, 55, 40, 70? What's the why? Why is that a goal? And then make it a specific goal. What do you want retirement to look like? What do you want to do on the daily basis? What do you want to feel like? The more specific you are in your goal, the more clarity you're going to have behind it. And I'm also going to say with specific, you need to be able to write it down in a short, sweet sentence, right? Yes, there's purpose behind writing it even further, but when you're coming to your goal, specific, very, very minute in what the goal is, and then maybe the list of the whys behind it, right? Why? What do you want it to feel like? What do you want it to sound like? What is it going to be like when you've achieved that goal? Number two, the M, measurable. So how do you track progress on your goal, right? So I want to retire. That's a goal. I want to retire at 63. Okay, that's a measurable goal, a specific goal. I want to retire at 63 and have $90,000 of income. And in order to pull that off, I need to be able to have $3 million of net worth that's going to spin off 3%. It's a measurable goal. Then you can measure your progress towards that specific target, right? So things that can be measurable. Well, let's go back to that. Things that can be measurable. Portfolio growth. How fast you want it to grow. Dividend income. I want this much income spinning off. I want to reduce my debt. I can measure each of those things. This is the world where finances and goals really come into play, is they're measurable, right? Other measurable goals maybe that you've set for yourself is, I want to lose weight. Well, how do you measure that? Getting on a scale, right? One of the key factors with measurable is being able to put all of your metrics in one place. Okay, having a dashboard for yourself, like here's my goal, here's the measurement, here's my progress, here's where I started, right? Being able to measure those things gives you a lot of power to be able to focus on the gains that you've made, the progress that you've made, because sometimes goals take a little while. Okay, number three, achievable. Way too often I've had clients that set goals that really aren't achievable. Okay, just quick example. I had a client came in, made really good income, $500,000 plus a year, and he said, "Hey, my goal is I want to retire in 10 years. I need to have no specifically it was I need to have $10 million in 10 years, right?" It's like, well, where's our starting point? Okay, he had $300,000, give or take, right? 10 years, $10 million. Well, if you're just going to save that money, that's almost $1 million a year. You make $500,000 a year. Is that goal really achievable, right? Is it something that's realistic? So something that's achievable is something that's very much within the realm of possibility that you can take some specific steps towards. And so we actually talked about what the why was behind that $10 million and the values that were driving that. And we actually shifted the goal completely to something that is achievable that drove still towards that why, right? So things that are achievable, a small savings increase, right? An automatic monthly investment of a few $100s. Momentum builds over time. It's hard to go from not saving anything to saving 10% or 15% of 20% of your income. But if you make incremental improvements over time, right, then it becomes much more achievable. So maybe your ultimate goal is really, really big and hefty. Maybe you need to step back and do a more achievable goal. Relevant. And here's where, does it really tie in? Is the goal that you're setting for yourself relevant for the vision that you have, or is it just kind of out in left field, right? So oftentimes we don't set goals that are irrelevant, but you need to be able to really drive down the why in the goal and how it becomes relevant. Okay, so tie it to your broader vision. Okay, so start with the vision. Then when you're tying into your goals, you can be able to ask yourself, is this goal specific? Is it measurable? Is it achievable? Is it relevant to my vision? And in what way is it relevant to my vision, right? So for retirement planning, if that's your goal, I want to retire at this age, right? So some relevance to that is putting money in an IRA or a Roth IRA because of the tax benefits that those accounts may have for you. And it's relevant towards that goal because it's going to enable me to decrease my risk towards taxation or decrease the taxes that I'm paying today. Okay. So just some examples of some relevant goals. Time bound. If you don't set some kind of a time limitation or guideline towards your goal, it's not really a plan. Okay, so if you simply just throw something out there, I want to increase my income from $300,000 a year to $500,000 a year. Great. Well, if you just still keep making $300,000 a year and just grow with inflation and inflation alone, you're going to hit that number in 20 years, right? That's much different. Like that's a goal. I want to increase my income. Well, what's the why behind that? But what's the timeline behind that? I want to do that in the next 2 years. Okay. And then we can break it down to, well, what steps do I need to do in this year? What steps do I need to do in each quarter? What step do I need to do this quarter? What step do I need to do this month? What step do I need to do this week? What step do I need to do today? You can break it up into smaller and smaller chunks if you have an actual time limit on it. If you don't set that time limit, you can't break it up, right? So the other thing with time-bound goals is some goals are short-term, some goals are kind of a mid-range term, and some goals are long-term. Okay, when we talk about different assets and what you're investing for, we ask 3 questions. Number 1, what's the job that this money needs to do? So it's purpose, right? What's be specific with it. What's the goal, right? Number 2, what's the time that job needs to be done? Is it a short-term goal? Is it a mid-term goal? Is it a long-term goal? Is it a short-term obligation? Is it a short-term dream, wish, whatever it is, right? When does it need to happen? Because if you don't put a timeline on it, put it on the calendar and break it down into manageable chunks, it's a little bit different than if you just throw it out there. There's no plan that goes behind it. So if you set goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound, you can then take all of those things and break it into a plan. And we'll talk about things that you can do to make that plan kind of automatic. So heading into the new year, New Year's resolutions become a big thing for everyone, right? As you're evaluating that, as you're looking at your goals, I would suggest that you limit to 3 to 5 goals that you can really become specific with, if you can drill down on, right? And then, when it comes to the stuff that we deal with clients, when it comes to the stuff that you may have questions on, number 1, the goal that we set in working with our clients isn't just to have more money. It's what that money enables our clients to do in living out their dreams, living out their vision, and finding a happiness to life. So here's the obligatory disclosures. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. If you have questions, you have comments, please just reach out, let us know. We appreciate you being with us, and hopefully stick around for the next one. We're going to put vision and goals, and then we're going to talk about action plans and how to set those action plans out to achieve success in the short term, in the midterm, and in the long term. So if you're watching this around Christmas, which is when kind of we're recording it, have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to you, and we'll talk to you later.